Myself, Dr. Hanuman Prasad Panderi. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, IARE, located at Dundigal. The topic I am going to discuss in today's session is from third module, Gender and Labor. And the name of the topic that I am going to present in today's session is Categorization of Workers. The contents I am going to discuss in today's topic are Introduction to Employment, next Categorization of Workers, next Informal or Unorganized Sector, next Categorization of Informal Sector, next Informal Self-Owned Enterprises, next Informal Casual Workers, next Formal or Organized Sector, and finally references. Let's look at all these contents in detail. The first content is Introduction to Employment. What is employment? Employment is defined as the phenomenon in which a task is performed for which a wage is paid in compensation or offered some service. Okay? The phenomenon in which a task is performed or a task is done for which a wage is paid, money is paid in compensation or offered some service. Instead of money, they will offer some service. For example, booking ticket to Tirupati or booking flight ticket to other countries like US, Germany, France, like that. Okay? So, this kind of phenomenon where task is performed for getting compensation of either wage or service, okay, is known as employment. Okay. So, employment is not mere holding of a job. It is not just holding of a job for which one is getting paid in wage or service. It is not just holding of a job and in return we are getting paid in wage or in service. It's not like that. It is actually the task in which one is involved passionately. Okay? In which one is involved passionately. Passion should be there wherever you are working, wherever you are performing some tasks, certain tasks. So you should do it passionately. Then only it is considered as employment, the actual employment. Okay? And under one's favorable conditions. So you should have your favorable conditions to perform that task, whatever is in your passion. Okay? So whether it is paid or unpaid, it is not mandatorily paid. It may not be unpaid also. Okay? So you should be ready for that because you are having that passion within you. Then that kind of passionate work under your favorable conditions is called real employment. Okay? So this point must be noted. So this is the actual employment. Okay? And in official terminology, a job is an employment. Officially, job is nothing but employment. And in unofficial terminology, it is just work. Officially, we call it as employment, but unofficially, we call it as work. Okay? Whatever you are doing, that is work, unofficially. But officially, employment. Okay? In day-to-day terminology, it is said to be occupation. So in day-to-day terminology, if you see, it will be considered as an occupation. So what is your occupation? I am a teacher. What is your occupation? I am a businessman. Like that, in day-to-day terminology, your employment is called, or your job is called occupation. Okay? So I hope this is clear to all of you, the introduction of employment. Okay? Let's go to the next content. Categorization of workers. So who is worker? First of all, the one who is performing or who is an employee is called a worker. And these workers are classified into two categories based on their participation in either informal or formal economy of the country. Okay? If the workers' participation is in informal economy of the country, if the participation is in informal economy, then it is said to be of informal sector. Then the employment is said to be of informal sector. Okay? Informal economy related job is called informal sector, and formal economy related job is called formal sector. That is what we will explain in the next sentence. Informal sector is also known as unorganized sector, as I have already told. And if the workers' participation is in formal economy of the country, then it is said to be formal sector. Okay, his contribution is in formal economy or informal economy of the country. Based on that, we will categorize the types of worker. We will categorize the workers, whether they belong to formal sector or informal sector. Okay, and formal sector is also known as organized sector. Okay, that I have already discussed. So I hope you all got clarity about the categorization of workers, whether they belong to formal sector or informal sector, based on the type of economy that is in the country. Okay, so if the work contributes to the informal economy, then it is informal sector. If the work contributes to the formal economy, then it is classified as formal sector. Okay, so that is what is about categorization of workers. And let's look at the next content. Informal or unorganized sector, the first one, the first category of workers. Okay, so informal sector is also known as unorganized sector in India. The existing estimation shows that the growth of informal economy to the total non-agricultural employment is about 65% in Asia continent. In Asia continent, the informal economy, the growth of informal economy towards the non-agricultural employment, the growth of informal economy towards the growth of towards total non-agricultural employment is about 65% in our continent. Okay, so this is according to Indian Labour Organization 2002. And India includes agriculture in informal sector of employment, right? So whoever is doing agricultural related work, then his economy is contributed to the informal sector. Okay, so that is why agriculture belongs to the informal sector of employment. It is not a formal sector. Okay, means unorganized sector. And globalization means throughout the world further expanded the informal sector, the developing and transition countries. Okay, those countries which are developing and which are transitioning, and those countries so are also getting this kind of informal sector. So this is called globalization. So globalization is throughout the world, especially in developing and transition countries, this informal sector is expanded. Okay. Now globalization contributes for the employment throughout the country. Employment throughout the country. Throughout all the countries. Throughout all the countries. Both in informal as well as formal sector. Okay, then only we will call globalization. So the term represents the economy throughout all the countries, not only in specific country, either India, US or Germany or Belgium, whatever, not only the specific country. So throughout all the countries, the economy expansion is considered as globalization. Okay, so So I hope you understood about informal or unorganized sector. So this is one category of employment. Okay, and let's look at the next content. Categorization of informal sector. So informal sector itself is one of the categories of employment. And this informal sector is further categorized or is further classified into two subcategories. Okay, so the wages are not quite high in informal economy, because informal economy is not the organized one, it is unorganized. So the wages which are paid are not quite high. Okay, so as a result of this cheap labor, cheap labor is available. Means those who are working for less wage, are available. So to encash using the cheaply available labor, the transnational and multinational companies establish their production centers in various places. Okay, so that is why the transnational as well as multinational companies are coming and establishing their production units to encash this cheaply available labor. Okay, so means especially to encash from the informal sector, various transnational and multinational companies are coming to the particular place and establishing their production unit and encashing the cheaply available labor in the particular informal or unorganized sector. Okay, so that is what the wisdom of these companies, especially multinational and transnational companies. They are utilizing this cheaply available labor from informal economy. Okay, and employments in informal sector are further classified into two subcategories. They are further classified into two subcategories based on the type of informal economy. What kind of informal economy it is? So based on that, the informal sector employments are further subcategorized. The first one, if the informal economy is in self-owned enterprises, it is classified as informal self-owned enterprises. It is one of the subcategories of informal sector. And if the informal economy is in random way, means not according to proper plan, then it is classified as informal casual workers. Okay, so informal sector is further subcategorized into two ways. First one is informal self-owned enterprises, and second one is informal casual workers. Okay, let's look at these two subcategories in detail. The first subcategory is informal self-owned enterprises. So who will come under this subcategory of informal sector? Let's see. Home-based workers and street vendors comprise largest subgroups in the informal self-owned enterprises. Okay, so in the informal sector, this is one of the subcategory, and in this, home-based workers as well as street vendors will contribute. Okay, now home-based workers do either self-business by establishing proper place or proper location for that, or proper company for that. Okay, a proper facility in the home itself. Okay, so the examples are hotels. So you know that people are establishing hotels in their home itself by preparing variety of foods. So this will come under informal self-owned enterprise, which is a part of informal sector. And hostels, clothes shops, steel shops, etc. So these are all come under informal self-owned enterprises. Okay, and the second one is street vendors. They also prepare the goods at home only, but the marketing is done outside the home. Marketing is done outside the home, along the streets of famous towns or cities to enlarge the income. Why they will do the marketing outside? To enlarge their income. So for example, cloth vendors. So for example, a person is selling clothes in a rural or backward area. No one will buy their clothes. So to enhance their business, then they will go to the cities or towns and they earn money. Okay. So example, cloth vendors, snacks vendors means people will sell their tiffin snacks, idli, dosa, chapati, etc. They will sell by using their personal vehicles. Okay, because if they are in home, no one is to buy. But if they explore outside, then all people will come and buy it. Okay, so then they can earn more money. So this will come under street vendors. So between these two types of workers, home-based workers and street vendors, visibility of street vendors is more prominent. Because from this, people will get more exposed to the variety of foods, a variety of clothes, okay, variety of the particular type. Okay, so this is all about one of the subcategories of informal sector, which is informal self-owned enterprises. Okay, let's look at the next category or next subcategory of informal sector, which is informal casual workers. They comprise 10 to 25% of non-agricultural employment in the developing countries, according to Indian Labour Organization 2002. So ILO, it is abbreviated as ILO. And self-employed workers run small units in a particular place doing vending business. Okay, what the self-employed workers will do? They run small units in particular places doing their vending business. The employment distribution in the informal sector differs from country to country. Okay, the employment distribution in the informal sector is not same in all the countries. It differs from countries to countries, and it differs from currency also. Indian currency is rupee, American currency is dollar, and England currency is pound. So depends from country to country based on their currency, okay, and based on their exposure and based on their familiarity. Okay, so all these factors will influence. The casual workers do not have a permanent job. They do not have a permanent job, and they get wages on daily basis. They get wages on daily basis. Okay, so the casual workers do not have permanent job, neither have permanent job nor get wages in a high amount. So their wages are not permanent, their jobs are not permanent, and they get wages on daily basis, means day to day. Okay, so the casual workers tend to shift from one work to the other depending on the availability of work and the wage rate on a particular day. So they will not work at a particular place, so they shift from one work to the other, not particular place, not particular work. They may change the work, they may change the place. Okay, so that is based on the availability of work in a particular place and the wage rate that they are paying on that particular day. Okay, all these things will come under informal casual workers, which is the second subcategory of informal sector. Let's look at the second category of employment or workers, that is formal or organized sector. The first category of employment or workers is informal sector or unorganized sector. Now we are discussing the second category of employment or workers, that is formal or organized sector. Formal sector is also known as organized sector in India. The formal sector mainly represents the jobs that the government regulates. So the jobs are directly regulated by government. These are not self business. Okay, so and offers benefits such as social security, health insurance, and also retirement plans. Okay, so the jobs in formal sector are directly regulated by government. Since government is regulating, they offer various benefits such as social security, health insurance, and retirement plans. Okay, so the examples of jobs in organized or formal sector are banking or any government job, banking, education related, healthcare related, manufacturing related, industry related. Okay, so those which are getting paid by government, not individual person is paying that. So government is regulating all these jobs. Okay, so these are all banking, education, healthcare, manufacturing industries come under formal sector because they are directly regulated by government. Okay, I hope you understood the examples which come under formal sector. And formal sector employees earn more money than informal sector employees because formal sector is directly governed by the government, whereas informal sector is not like that. It is individual. It is self-owned. So informal sector subcategories we discussed already. Self-owned enterprises and casual workers. Okay, so that will be based on individual. It is not based on government payment. But formal sector is directly regulated by government. So the employees employed in formal sector earn more money than those employed in informal sector. Obviously, okay, they earn more. Interestingly, informal sector contributes more economy to the employment sector. Which contributes more economy? Informal sector contributes more economy. Okay, than that of formal sector. Even though formal sector employees earn more money, informal sector contributes more money to the employment. This is due to the more number of people in informal sector. That is why it contributes more economy to the employment sector. Okay, I hope this is all clear to everyone, and let's look at further concepts in the coming videos. Okay, the references I followed are Gender Studies by Kadambari and Gender Sensitization by Rajarakshmi Kalyani, and finally Indian Labour Organization in 2002. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and all the very best.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.